So moving on to one of my most favorite things to use in the salon are Demi-Permanent shades. So we are able to offer such versatility and amazing results with our Demi-Permanent shades. One thing to point out is that our Demi-Permanent shades come in a black box instead of the regular silver, and they are to be mixed with the black activator. It's a 9 volume. So that is one thing to keep in mind, and that on the inside of the box, on the flap, it'll tell you the mixing ratio. So it is a little bit different than our permanent series. It is a 1-to-1 mixing ratio, and that's for gray blending, or a 1-to-2 mixing ratio for anything else. So let's start by talking about our color enhancing services. So if you have a client that maybe likes the level of darkness or lightness of their hair, but they just want to change the tonality, you're able to do the color enhancing service. Or if you want to go darker, you're able to use our Demi-Permanent shades for that as well. Those are to be processed on dry hair for up to 25 minutes. You can process it on wet hair, however, it will diffuse the results. So moving on from that, we do have the color equalizing service. So what that does is, if you have a great client that you're using part of the N series on, but as we know, we would add in the shade that they wanted to be, we would also enhance. Let's say they think the ends are a little bit drab or they've faded substantially. So you would use just that regular shade minus the N series to refresh the ends, the mids and ends. So you go ahead and put your N plus, let's say, copper, so N plus C on the base with the new growth, and then just the C on the mids and ends. Does that make sense? Yeah, I really feel like it helps so much, and my clients end up loving their hair when I do the enhancing service. So another way to use it is toning. So obviously we've already talked about our rapid toners, which are amazing. Those are to be processed up to 5 minutes. So those are a little bit different than our regular Demi-Permanent shades, but you can use our regular Demi-Permanent shades to tone as well, or glaze in the bowl. If you've got somebody that wants to be a little bit more golden, or they want something a little bit more neutralized, our SMs are beautiful for that, or I've used V's for just neutralizing a little bit of the yellow. So those are really great for that. Another way to use our Demi-Permanent shades is gray blending. So with gray blending, as I said, we would mix it a 1-to-1 ratio because your clients need that extra pigment, and to pack that in there, we have put more pigment into that formula. So not as much developer, but more pigment. One thing to note is that with gray blending, you still have to add in the N series in order to achieve that desired look. And finally, we also are able to use it just as a clear gloss. So we have the packages of clear. So instead of anything with pigment in it, it's just clear. So I love to use these on my natural redheads because it just really enhances their shine and helps their color just pop even more. You could use it on even a gray client to soften that cuticle a little bit. There are just many different uses for the clear. One thing to note also is that we suggest always using the porosity equalizing spray in every Demi-Permanent service. That is basically to help prevent anything taking it a little bit too much. So if your client has really porous ends or mids, we don't want it to get darker or grab too much of that pigment. Does anyone have any questions before we move on?